The rock crushed my leg when everything came crashing down. I screamed until I ran out of air. My flashlight rolled away, leaving me blind. 18 years in special forces, and now I was trapped like a rat. The dust was choking me. Each breath hurt more than the last. The oxygen was running out. I was going to die here, alone, just as I had always feared. A blue flash cut through the darkness. It came from a crack in the wall, something impossible. I dragged myself there, ignoring the pain. Blood left a trail behind me. I put my hand into the crack and felt warm air. Impossible at this depth. I pushed with all my strength and the rock gave way. What I saw on the other side froze my blood. Kandahar came back to my mind. The same feeling, the same terror. But this was worse, much worse. A tunnel stretched before me. The walls gleamed with blue veins. They pulsed as if they were alive. I touched one instinctively. The military medallion hanging from my neck vibrated against my chest. Strange. I grabbed it reflexively, a habit since I lost my team. My only connection to them. I crawled through the tunnel. My leg was killing me. Every meter was torture. The air became warmer, more humid. It smelled of wet earth and something else. Something I couldn't identify. Something that shouldn't exist at this depth. The tunnel suddenly widened. I froze. Before me opened an immense cavern. Impossible. Completely impossible. My geologist's mind couldn't process it. Structures carved into the rock rose like buildings. Stone bridges connected different levels. And light? There was light everywhere. Not electric, not natural, something different. My claustrophobia disappeared, replaced by vertigo. The cavern was so large I couldn't see the other end. I pressed myself against the wall. Sweat soaked my shirt. I took a deep breath. I needed to think. Analyze. It was what I did. What kept me alive when everything went to hell. A movement caught my attention. I wasn't alone. Figures moved among the structures, humanoid but different. They moved strangely, fluidly, as if they had no bones, or had too many. I crouched behind a rock. My heart was beating so hard I feared they might hear it. I drew my tactical knife. Pathetic against whatever inhabited this place, but it gave me security. The scars on my torso began to burn as they always did when panic invaded me. A constant reminder of Kandahar. 2 guards passed nearby. Now I could see them clearly. Humanoids with scales, vertical eyes, reptilian movements. They carried weapons that seemed organic, alive. They spoke in a language that sounded like water running over stones. I waited for them to pass. I needed to move, find an exit, or at least understand where I was. I slipped through the shadows. Years of infiltration training kept me invisible. I reached the edge of what appeared to be a central plaza. What I saw left me breathless. A multitude of serpent creatures gathered around an elevated platform. And on it, a woman. No, not a woman. Something that looked like a woman from the waist up. But her lower half was an enormous serpent. Her bluish skin gleamed with the same veins as the walls. A crown of gold and jewels adorned her head. Her beauty was hypnotic, terrifying. She spoke to the crowd. Her voice resonated with authority, with power. I didn't understand her words, but her tone was clear. She was furious. The creatures cowered before her. They trembled. Suddenly, she pointed toward where I was. Impossible that she had seen me. I was well hidden, but all heads turned in my direction. I felt the air freeze in my lungs. Human, she said in my language. Her voice sounded directly in my head. I know you're there. I can smell your blood, your fear. I remained motionless. Maybe she didn't know exactly where I was. Maybe. Your thoughts are loud, she continued. And your blood? Your blood is different. Special. The guards began moving toward my position. I had no escape. I was trapped. Again. Like in Kandahar. But this time, there was no team to lose. Just me. I came out of my hiding place. If I was going to die, I would do it standing. The guards immediately surrounded me, their weapons pointing at my heart. The crowd fell silent. The Serpent Queen studied me with interest. Her eyes were hypnotic, ancient, wise and cruel at the same time. "Bring him," she ordered. The guards pushed me toward the platform. My wounded leg gave way and I fell to my knees before her, humiliated, helpless. She slithered toward me. Her massive tail made the ground vibrate. She leaned down, and her face was inches from mine. She smelled of exotic spices and something metallic, like blood. "What is your name, human?" she asked. "Jake," I replied. My voice sounded firmer than I expected. "Jake," she repeated, savoring my name. "I am Zodra, Queen of Ophidia, the last city of the Naga, a civilization that existed when your ancestors still lived in caves." I tried to keep my expression neutral. Years of interrogations had taught me to show nothing. But she smiled, as if she could read every one of my thoughts. "Your mind is interesting," she said. "I see darkness, pain, loss. I see Kandahar." The name hit me like a punch. How could she know? "Your thoughts are mine now," she responded to my unspoken question. "But there are parts blocked. Interesting." She slithered around me, studying me, evaluating me. Her tail coiled slightly around my wounded leg. I felt a strange warmth. The pain diminished. "You are hurt," she said. "I can heal you. I can give you more than you have ever dreamed. Or I can crush you like the insect you are." The guards tensed, ready to attack at her signal. "What do you want from me?" I asked. Her smile widened, showing teeth too sharp to be human. Direct. I like that. Humans usually beg by this point. She rose to her full height, imposing, majestic. "I want your knowledge, Jake. I want to know about your world. The world above. The world that was once ours and was taken from us." She pointed toward the blue veins in the walls. "Do you know what that is, geologist?" I was surprised she knew my profession. But, of course, she had read my mind. I studied the veins. They gleamed like nothing I had ever seen before. But they reminded me of something. A classified study I had done for the army. About rare minerals with energetic properties. "Is some kind of energetic mineral," I replied. "But it doesn't match anything known." "We call it vital azurite," she said. "It's what keeps our civilization alive, what gives us power. And it's running out." Her eyes locked onto mine. "We need more, and it's up there, in your world, buried under cities and highways, inaccessible to us." I was beginning to understand, and I didn't like where this was going. "Why me?" I asked. "Because you have knowledge about geology, about minerals, about how to find them." She moved closer again. Her cold hand touched my cheek. "And because your blood reacts with the azurite, I felt it from the moment you entered our realm. Your medallion contains traces of the mineral. It has been in contact with your skin for years. It has changed you." I looked at my medallion. It was a simple metal disc with my team's names engraved on it. Nothing special. "You're wrong," I said. Her tail tightened around my leg, a reminder of her power. "I'm not wrong, Jake. I'm never wrong." She turned to the crowd and spoke in their language. The creatures responded with a collective roar. When she looked at me again, Her expression was hard as granite. My people are dying, Jake. We have survived 10,000 years underground. We adapted. We evolved. But now, our time is running out. Her voice became softer, almost seductive. Help us find more azurite and you will be rewarded beyond your dreams. Refuse... ... Her tail tightened painfully. And we will destroy your world. We have the power to do it. One last act of vengeance before we become extinct. It couldn't be true. It was impossible for them to have such power. But something in her eyes told me she wasn't lying. How do I know you won't do it anyway? I asked. She smiled again. You don't. You'll have to trust me. Trust. The word provoked a bitter laugh from me. I hadn't trusted anyone since Kandahar. I need time to think, I said. Zodra nodded. Time? The only luxury we don't have, but I'll grant you a few hours, so you can see what's at stake. She snapped her fingers and the guard seized me. Show him the crystal chamber, she ordered. Let him see what awaits his world if he refuses. They dragged me away from the plaza, through corridors carved from living rock. Descending ever deeper, the air became warmer, denser. It smelled of sulfur and something metallic. We reached an enormous door, carved with symbols that seemed to move if you looked at them too long. The guards opened it and pushed me inside. The crystal chamber. Now I understood the name. The walls were formed by transparent crystals, and through them I could see horror. Perfect miniatures of human cities, New York, London, Tokyo. I recognized the skylines, and over each one, a kind of blue energy dome. Inside the domes, the cities were melting, buildings bent like wax, streets undulated like serpents. Projections, said a voice behind me. I turned around. An elderly Naga was watching me. His skin was pale, almost translucent, his scales faded. Projections of what we can do, he continued. What we will do if necessary. Who are you? I asked. I am Sith, guardian of knowledge. The last one who remembers the surface. He approached the crystals and touched them with reverence. 10,000 years ago, we ruled your world. We were gods to primitive humans. But then came the cataclysm. The sky burned, the earth trembled. We had to take refuge underground. His eyes were lost in impossibly ancient memories. We created Ophidia. We learned to use the azurite, to mold it, to live from it. But now it's running out, and we will die with it. He pointed to the miniature cities. Unless we recover what is ours. How do I know this isn't a trick? I asked. An illusion? Sith smiled sadly. You don't know, but you will find out soon. He approached a pedestal in the center of the chamber. Above it floated a pulsing blue energy sphere. This is pure azurite, concentrated. A fraction of what we need, but enough for a demonstration. He placed his hands around the sphere without touching it. The energy responded, extending toward his fingers. Watch. The sphere pulsed with greater force. The energy concentrated at one point, and then a blinding explosion of light. When I could see again, one of the miniature cities had disappeared completely. Only a smoking crater remained. Denver, said Sith. A small city by your standards. An acceptable sacrifice for a demonstration. I felt the blood drain from my face. That's impossible. You can't have destroyed Denver from here. Not from here, he replied. From there. He pointed to another crystal. In it, I saw an image of what looked like a park. Normal, ordinary, except for the smoking crater in its center. A fragment of azurite planted decades ago. Waiting, and now activated. My mind was racing. If what he was saying was true, how many fragments are there? I asked, fearing the answer. One in every major city in the world, planted by sleeper agents, humans who serve us without knowing it. He approached me. His breath smelled of damp earth and antiquity. Now you understand what's at stake, Jake. It's not just our survival, it's yours too. The guards seized me again. Sith nodded toward them. Take him to his quarters. He needs to process what he has seen. They dragged me out of the crystal chamber. My mind was a whirlwind. Was it possible? Had they destroyed Denver, or was it all an elaborate illusion? They took me to a room carved from rock, surprisingly comfortable, a bed, a table with strange fruits, clear water, and a crystal pitcher. The door closed behind me. I heard the click of a lock. I collapsed onto the bed. My leg didn't hurt as much anymore. Whatever Zodra had done, it was working. I touched the scars on my torso instinctively. They burned less than before. I needed to think, analyze. It was what I did when everything went to hell. Break down the problem into manageable parts. If what they said was true, humanity was in danger. A danger like never before. But if it was a lie, the medallion on my chest felt strangely warm. I took it out and examined it. Simple metal with engraved names. Nothing special, except at a certain angle the metal gleamed with a bluish tone, like the veins in the walls. Impossible. I had worn it for years, since Kandahar, since I lost my team. A memory surfaced, the mine we had gone to secure. It supposedly contained uranium, but what we found was different. It glowed blue in the darkness. And then the explosion. Everyone dead except me. The medallion. I had forged it with metal from the mine, as a memento. Was it possible? Had I been carrying azurite all this time? The door opened. Zodra entered, slithering. Alone, no guards. Her confidence in her own power was absolute. "Have you seen enough?" she asked. I stood up, ignoring the residual pain in my leg. Was it real? Denver? Friends, if you want the next part, I need more support. These videos are expensive to make. Tools, human equipment, and hours of work. That's why, if a first part doesn't have the necessary support, there won't be a second part, and we'll move on to a different story. You watch it for free. You just have to hit like and leave a comment. What does it cost you? In the previous video, out of thousands of views, not even 1% did it. And that's why I couldn't invest in the continuation. If you like this story and want to know what decision Jake will make, what secrets Zodra really hides, and whether humanity will survive, show it with your support. Only with enough response will I be able to create the continuation.